I'm sure you know that there are many self-publishers that are making over $100,000 a year with their books. But I have seen this one mistake that is being done by lots of self-publishers that is really keeping them from actually seeing success with their Amazon business and never really seeing it turn into a full-time income. Maybe you've made that mistake yourself. So today I want to show you what that mistake is and how you can avoid it. We're going to go to Amazon and I'm going to show you examples of these books that are making this mistake over and over again and what is actually preventing them from seeing success with KDP. What is this mistake and how are people doing it?
Now we're in Amazon, and one of the topics that became very popular a few years ago was shadow work. And even though shadow work is not a new concept, I think it was started by Carl Jung, a certain person, her name is Kayla Shaheen, she was able to capitalize on this concept through her TikTok videos. So even if someone had created shadow work books older than hers were able to make thousands and thousands of dollars per day. And this was several years ago. So actually now I think a lot of the books that are going to show up are going to be not complete imitations because those are probably pushed back to the end of the searches. But just looking at this, for example, okay, we see her book here, probably one of the first ones. I know it used to be ranking in the top 100, but it's still doing very well. And there are still to this day books coming out, such as this one that came out 3 months ago, even though it's sponsored, that are trying to imitate or ride off of that success. So like you can see here, this one it is being sponsored. So they're paying an ad for it to show up on the first page. It's ranking at 131,000, 132,000, which is not too bad, but $2 a day. That's probably because they're really pushing it with ads. But you can see the similarity in that. This one is also Kayla's. So you can see here that all of these covers do have the same style or the same dark background and very similar fonts to kind of mimic the bestseller. They have moved away from that and created a little bit of a different angle, such as transformative shadow work experience for beginners, the ultimate shadow work guide to self-discovery and inner healing. So a lot of these newer books that came out are also trying to write off of so many other keywords in their title. I'm not saying that's not a good thing to do. I think it would be great to create a book on shadow work that has a new angle, an original angle that would benefit people. But the danger is in creating a book that is very similar to her book, which was the case at the very beginning of when this book was doing very well. For example, this one that is really trying to mimic that original book and is not adding any new original angle to it. Same thing when we look at Shadow Work Journal. Her books show up again because they were the original ones that made a big hit. But the good thing is a lot of the ones that show up are books that have taken a different angle. I would say these books are trying to mimic the style and the cover of her books. Now, here's another example of the 5-minute journal. I do remember this, and I saw this a lot as I did my research. Maybe you've come across this as well. And you can see that, looking up here, it's doing very well. It was created 4 years ago, 4 years and 7 months ago. I think they used to be doing much better than that as well. And you can see here, this book is actually a good example of someone that is trying to create something very similar. So they have actually used very similar color schemes and the concept of the sun. So this one does not really have very much originality when it comes to trying to be different from the book that is obviously doing well. So you can tell here that they did research. They found this book is doing very well, and they just created a book as similar as possible. And it shows that they're ranking almost 600,000, which is no sales.
All of us, when we want to create a book, we try to find what is doing well, what is selling the best on Amazon. So what these people do, if you're making this mistake, is searching for those best sellers on Amazon, ranking low, making thousands of dollars per day. And usually what these people do is they will find these books which are relatively easy to create. Maybe they're low medium content, and they create a book that is so extremely similar to that book. They use the exact same title, or at least 90% of the same title. They create a cover that is almost identical, almost like trying to trick people to think that that book is actually by the same author. I have seen this in so many different niches, and I've seen this in high content books as well. I've actually even seen this done to my own book. And then when they create a book that is very similar to that book, some actually even lower the price. They hope that that lower price will give them an advantage or an edge over the bestseller, since they probably have close to zero reviews and the bestseller probably has hundreds, if not thousands of reviews. Now, maybe you've heard that before, but racing to the bottom is the worst way to grow your KDP business. Now, going through these books doesn't mean that you have to create something completely unique or completely different, completely out there. Competition is actually a really good thing. And I know there are so many self-publishers out there that want to get into a niche that has very minimal competition. But actually, that's not a good idea. I mean, really, do you know of any business or product, especially ones that are really successful, that doesn't have any competition? So think about it. From cars to kitchen products to sodas, soft drinks, to even diet plans, they all have so much competition, and yet they are very, very, very successful. Every successful business is going to have a lot of competition. So don't let anybody tell you that KDP and self-publishing or publishing on Amazon is oversaturated, or that there's no room to create new books. There's always room for improvement, for innovations, and for new ideas or new methods of doing things or solving a problem. So the only way to really make sales is to find your unique angle to a very, very competitive niche. Competition is good. Don't shy away from it. Find out what your special angle is, or your different method is, or maybe even a target group could be very specific. Whatever it is, always find a way to differentiate yourself from the majority or from the competition, and you will make it work. So I hope this video helped, and comment below if you have a unique angle. You don't have to share your niche, but if you are in a competitive niche, I would love to know what your unique angle is, and I will see you in the next video.